what George Sheedy told me when I interviewed him, he's an Atlanta journalist who essentially broke the story, is he said the biggest problem they're having right now is, and we'll play the clip.
Nobody's getting out of jail in part because one person in the case hasn't been arrested yet. He's not in jail. And it's the fellow that shot up the bus, like where, the Lil Wayne shooting from, a few years ago. That guy's not in jail right now. And as long as he's out there in the wind, the prosecutor and the judge are going to be concerned about basically a witness being intimidated or threatened. Like there's a credible question.
And also half of those dudes, every time the last hearing I watched completely, where all those lawyers were in there, it was probably last week, 9 dudes still don't have an attorney on record.
Wow.
You ain't starting no goddamn case like that.
Yeah, he's saying that if we're lucky, George Sheedy said this, if we're lucky, middle of next year is when the trials start. Yeah. If they're lucky. But chances are, because the DA is not giving up all the evidence yet either. So they're going to wait until the very last minute. So then when they finally do give it up, then the defense is going to need time to start going through all this and everything else like that. So there's a lot going on here.
Hey, there's a lot. I'll say this, though. The prosecutor's playing one hell of a game when it comes to bond. One hell of a game. Yeah. Because I watched the hearings, and when you hear the hearings, number one, they counteract every point that Thug's lawyer give. But the interesting thing about bond hearings is that there's no need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. They just need to convince the judge. And if they convince the judge that someone's a flight risk, possible threat to the community, might be intimidating witnesses, everything. For example, like the whole Gunna situation, right? I was believing that whole bullshit too. That was completely BS that they brought in court to get Gunna to deny bond. Because everybody keeps saying, why does Gunna not get out?
Right. He has no violent crimes associated with him.
Okay, right? So one of the times they thought he was going to get out, they went in court. They said, well, somebody just tried to smuggle, a nurse, just tried to smuggle drugs into the jail, and his name was on a paper, and which means they're basically trying to say, yo, he's doing some stuff already. Come to find out, Gunna's not even at the jail that the nurse was going to.
Oh.
It's not even at the jail.
Damn.
Not brought up in court. Gunna's lawyers was asking for info on that for 2 hearings successfully. They wouldn't get it. It was like, hey, listen, they keep saying that Gunna did this. For us to counteract it, we need some information based on whatever. They haven't turned it over. The judge is like, well, this isn't the time for that. You could argue the trial. Well, argue the trial? We're going to be sitting in jail till then.
Yeah.
So again, like...
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's a dirty game. Yeah. It's a dirty game. But, like Boosie said in my interview, you can't shake a bag with 28 eggs and expect everyone to crack.
I think that's what I'm thinking. The snitch is going to sink it. By the way, the head prosecutor stepped down. Well, actually not stepped down, got transferred to another county.
Really? Not
Fonnie Willis.
So
her head assistant DA, it's a white guy with like a bald spot. Like he was pretty good in court though. He's no longer on it. They're trying to see who's going to be the lead DA on it. I see there's this black woman who seems to be stepping up for it, but I can't tell if they just have a bunch of fluff and they know these guys probably did something, so people are just going to take pleas, because who's really going to risk this shit going to trial? Like, who the fuck is going to risk this shit going to trial?
Well, there's murders involved.
That's what I'm saying. So if they give you some...
Well, at least one murder involved. So yeah, it's an ugly case, man.
There's a cop getting shot.
Yeah.
There's a cop getting shot. There's the murder that they claim that Thug probably orchestrated or like, sanctioned.
Right. Well, there's a switch they found at Thug's house. That's 10 years by itself.
Well, he probably could beat that one. Unless they got fingerprints, like we've seen then with the
it was at his house, unless someone comes in and says it's theirs.
That happened with Kodak before. And I think even T.I. where they had found something when he shouldn't have had anything. Mm-hmm. And they just presented in court to say, hey, many people come to the house, and unless you could prove, I think it was in a safe, they're like, unless you could prove that it was only accessible by this person, you just don't have enough to pinpoint on this person. You know what I mean?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. He got the best lawyers, though.
He has the best lawyers.
Yeah,
him and Gunna got the best lawyers in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And everyone else doesn't have lawyers at all. So he's going to have to probably pay for everyone else's lawyers.